Hello and welcome to Intermission 1, Symbols. This tape is about a woman whose name is no longer relevant. The tape is presented from her perspective. Now playing narration. That night, she spoke, recounting to the lawyer, I'd found myself drawn to leave my house. I didn't even think to grab shoes, that's how absent-minded I was while making my way into the forest. I was guided only by wind, and some ancient primal urge, like our prehistoric ancestors moving continents. I didn't even know where I was going. The destination was more a feeling than an idea. It was a warm, calming feeling that also made me more nervous and terrified than I'd ever been before. I couldn't stop moving without the fear becoming stronger. Like some dead, silent predator was waiting just beyond the clustered trees. I couldn't tell you how long I walked. It was an infinite, non-calculable space of time. Like walking down a 10-foot hallway for a year, or traversing a 10-mile hallway in a second. I honestly couldn't tell you which it was. But when I got to the place, I fell to my knees to stare in awe. It was an old log cabin deep in the woods. It seemed to have been there a long time. The lights inside were on, and vibrations radiated out through the ground. I soon stood and approached the door, not thinking to knock. All the furniture in the house was strewn about, and every inch of the walls was coated in paper. The pieces of paper that had been stuck to the walls were decorated in black writing of various sizes. The writing was some ancient, unidentifiable language. I made my way through the living room and down the hallway. There was a closed door on either side, and at the end of the hall was a door with multiple locks on the outside. Leaning in to touch the handle, it was warm. The door vibrated at a similar but heavier frequency than the ground. I used my free hand to slide open and undo most of the locks on the door before dragging it open to reveal stairs going down. A musty, rotting smell filled the air, and a shuddering voice moaned in pain from below. A blue glow radiated from the room beyond the stairs, and I began slowly stepping down. The papers that coated the basement walls had text written in blood instead of ink, some of it fresh. Stepping off of the stairs, my eyes were immediately drawn to 3 completely gutted, naked people laying with symbols carved all over their bodies and faces. I stumbled back, clutching my stomach and gagging. 2 of the bodies were men, and the other was a woman. In a far corner of the room was another woman, laying in the fetal position, clutching a bloody knife. Her eyes weakly opened, and she looked at me full of hope. She too had symbols carved into her, but not on her face. It didn't seem she'd been cut open yet either. While hyperventilating, my eyes searched the room further. With multiple wounds in his neck and chest, a pale, fully clothed old man lay face down. He wore a black wooden mask that covered his entire head. On the front of the mask was etched a similar symbol to that which was carved into the bodies. The etching was painted in a thick layer of fresh blood. Further than the old man, on the far wall of the basement, which the vibrations radiated out from, was a large circle painted in thick, coagulated blood. In the center of the circle was an average-sized eye, completely blue and brightly glowing. I stared, entranced, looking into the eye. The terrified feeling I'd carried with me suddenly dropped. The eye narrowed before beginning to cry. Its tears were a glowing purple fluid that spread in every direction around it, crawling up, down, and across the wall. I too began to cry the same purple fluid, and as the tears fell over my face, I understood my new purpose. I had to finish what the previous disciple had started. I turned to the girl who held the knife and picked her up by her hair. She weakly swung the knife at me, but I grabbed her hand and guided it with the weapon to her face. I carved the missing symbol into her face while she screamed in terror and then plunged the knife into her abdomen. After that, I fucking gutted her. The defendant proceeded to slam her head into a pen which she held upturned in her hand. After multiple violent thrashes into the desk, she was rushed to the hospital where she was declared deceased.